everything that's about to come.
Outlander just crossed a line it may never recover from, and Episode 8 doesn't slow down. It explodes everything we thought we understood. The war is no longer coming, it's already here. And the most shocking part? Not everyone will survive what's about to happen. The tension that has been building throughout the season finally reaches a breaking point in Episode 8, and from the very first moments, you can feel that nothing will go the way we expect. Jaime is no longer just preparing for war, he is walking directly into it. But what makes this situation truly unsettling is not the battle itself, it's the feeling that Jaime already knows something is off. There is a quiet shift in his character. He is focused, determined, but also strangely distant. It's as if he is carrying a truth he hasn't shared with anyone yet, not even Claire. And this creates a heavy emotional layer, because while everyone around him is preparing weapons and forming alliances, Jaime seems to be preparing for something much bigger, something final. Claire, on the other hand, senses this change immediately. Their connection has always been deeper than words, and here, that connection becomes almost painful to watch. She tries to stay strong, tries to support him like she always has, but there's a growing fear inside her. A fear that this time she might not be able to save him. And then comes the arrival that changes everything. An unexpected visitor reaches Fraser's Ridge, and this moment is far more important than it first appears. At first, it feels like just another ally joining the cause. But the way Jaime reacts tells a completely different story. There is tension, hesitation, and even a hint of conflict. This is not a simple reunion. This is the return of something from the past that was never truly resolved. This visitor brings information, and that information could completely change the outcome of the Battle of King's Mountain. Because here's the truth the episode slowly begins to reveal. This battle may not happen the way history says it should. For a long time, the show has played with the idea of fate versus choice. Can the future really be changed? Or are all these characters just moving toward a destiny that cannot be avoided? Episode 8 pushes this question harder than ever before. Jaime has always believed in fighting with honor, in doing what is right no matter the cost. But now, he is faced with a possibility that challenges everything he stands for. If he changes his actions, if he steps away from what history expects, he might survive. But survival comes with a price. And that price could be the very future he has been trying to protect. Meanwhile, as the men gather and the preparations intensify, there is a growing sense of unease among the group. Not everyone is confident. Not everyone believes this battle will end in victory. Small conversations, quiet glances, and moments of doubt begin to spread. And these details matter, because they show us that this is not just a fight against an enemy, it's a fight against fear itself. At the same time, Claire finds herself caught between two roles, healer and wife. She knows what war brings. She has seen the blood, the loss, the pain that follows every battle. And yet, this time feels different. This time, she isn't just afraid of losing others, she is afraid of losing Jaime. What makes this even more intense is that Claire starts to question something she has always trusted, her knowledge of the future. If events are already shifting, if things are not happening exactly as history recorded, then how much of what she knows can still be trusted? And that uncertainty is dangerous, because it means every decision they make from this point forward could lead to completely unexpected consequences. As the episode continues, the focus returns to Jaime, and we see him standing at the center of it all, leader, warrior, husband. But for the first time, there is a visible weight on his shoulders that feels almost impossible to carry. He is not just fighting a battle. He is fighting destiny itself. And, the most shocking part? He may already know which side he's going to choose. While the war begins to take shape around Jaime, Episode 8 shifts its focus to another character who is quietly heading toward his own disaster, William. And what makes his storyline so intense is that his battle is not on a battlefield, it's inside his own mind. After everything that happened in the previous episode, William is no longer thinking clearly. The truth about his identity, the emotional distance from Jaime, and the disappointment he feels in the people around him have all started to build into something much darker. He feels betrayed not just once, but again and again. And now, that pain is turning into anger. But this is not the kind of anger that fades quickly. This is the kind that pushes people into making decisions they cannot take back. We see William begin to isolate himself. He pulls away from those who care about him, especially Lord John Grey, whose relationship with him becomes more strained than ever. There was always respect between them, even love in a quiet and complicated way. But now, that connection feels broken. And the reason is simple. William no longer knows who to trust. At the same time, the situation with Amaranthus adds even more pressure. What once seemed like a possible emotional anchor for William now becomes another source of confusion. He begins to question her intentions, her loyalty, and even her feelings. And instead of seeking clarity, he chooses distance. This is where things start to spiral. Because when a character like William, already emotionally unstable, starts pushing everyone away, it creates the perfect conditions for a serious mistake. And that mistake comes sooner than expected. In one of the most intense moments of the episode, William finds himself in a confrontation that quickly escalates beyond control. A weapon is drawn. Words are exchanged. And for a brief moment, it feels like everything is about to collapse. The shocking part is not just the danger of the situation, it's how close William comes to crossing a line he can never return from. There is hesitation in his actions, but also desperation. You can see it clearly. He doesn't actually want to hurt anyone. But at the same time, he doesn't know how to stop himself either. And this is where the writing becomes incredibly powerful. Because instead of giving us a clear villain or hero, the episode shows us a young man completely lost in his own emotions. Someone who is reacting, not thinking. Someone who is trying to protect himself, but is actually destroying everything around him. The tension reaches its peak when Lord John Grey becomes directly involved in this situation. His calm presence contrasts sharply with William's instability, and for a moment, it feels like he might be able to defuse everything. But Episode 8 is not interested in easy resolutions. Something goes wrong. The situation takes a turn that no one fully expects, and suddenly, the focus shifts from conflict to consequence. There is a real possibility now that Lord John could be taken, injured, or even used as leverage. And if that happens, it will not just affect William. It will create a chain reaction that reaches all the way to Jaime. Because no matter how complicated their relationships are, these characters are still deeply connected. And this is where the episode begins to build towards something even bigger. If Lord John is in danger, William will have no choice but to face the truth he has been running from. And that truth leads directly back to Jaime. For the first time, William may have to make a decision not based on anger, but on responsibility. But the question is, will he realize that in time? Or will his actions push everything even further out of control? As the tension continues to rise, the episode makes one thing very clear. This is no longer just about war or family secrets. This is about choices. And every choice being made right now is leading straight toward a moment that will shock everyone. As the episode moves into its final act, everything begins to converge toward one place, Battle of King's Mountain. This is no longer just preparation. This is no longer strategy. This is reality. Jaime steps fully into his role as a leader, but the weight on him is heavier than ever before. The decisions he makes now are not just about winning a battle, they are about survival, legacy, and the future of everyone he loves. And what makes this even more intense is the silent understanding that not everyone standing beside him will walk away from this alive. There is a strange calm before the storm, the kind of calm that feels unnatural. Soldiers are ready, alliances are in place, but emotionally, everything feels fragile. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and everything could collapse. Claire watches Jaime closely during these moments. She knows him better than anyone, and she can see something different in him. Not fear exactly, but acceptance. As if part of him has already prepared for the worst outcome. And that terrifies her more than anything. Because Claire has always believed she could fight against fate. She has survived impossible situations before, healed the wounded, and held her family together through chaos. But now, Even she can feel that something is slipping beyond her control. Meanwhile, the ripple effects of William's actions begin to spread. What started as an emotional breakdown is now turning into a much larger threat. Information, loyalty, and survival all become unstable at once. And suddenly, people are not just choosing sides in a war, they're choosing sides in personal betrayals. The tension between William and Lord John Grey reaches a dangerous level. What happens next is not just about anger anymore, it becomes about consequence. A decision is made, a line is crossed, and the aftermath immediately changes the direction of multiple storylines. At the same time, Jaime's storyline reaches its most critical point. During the battle preparations, he is forced into a moment of truth where hesitation is no longer an option. Every instinct tells him to proceed, but every emotional bond tells him to stop. This conflict inside him is what makes the episode so powerful. Because Jaime Fraser is not just a warrior, he is a man constantly torn between duty and love. And in this episode, that conflict becomes unbearable. As the battle begins to unfold, everything becomes faster, louder, and more chaotic. But the emotional core remains steady. These characters are not just fighting enemies. They are fighting loss, regret, and the fear of what comes after. And then comes the final shock. A moment that shifts everything. Without revealing too much directly, the episode delivers a twist that redefines the stakes completely. It is not just about who wins or loses anymore. It is about who survives long enough to face the consequences. Someone makes a choice that changes the trajectory of the entire story. A sacrifice is implied. Loyalties are tested in the most extreme way. And what seemed like a straightforward battle suddenly becomes something much more personal and devastating. By the end, nothing feels stable. Jaime is left standing in a world that no longer feels predictable. Claire is left questioning everything she thought she understood. William is pushed closer to a breaking point that may be irreversible. And the future of all these characters feels more uncertain than ever before. Episode 8 doesn't just deliver action. It delivers consequences. And it makes one thing very clear. This is not the end of the war. It is the beginning of something far more dangerous.